It seems like we have finally made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, the Eastern Conference has been very eventful, something that it hasn't been known for in the past couple of years. But we saw a new team take #1 seed in the Cleveland Cavaliers. We saw the Celtics fall second fiddle. We saw the Detroit Pistons take a leap and be one of the top seeds in the playoffs. And we also saw the falling of what at one point was a giant in the NBA in the Milwaukee Bucks. And this playoffs has been very eventful. However, it has brought us to this point in Eastern Conference Finals where we will see two teams who I didn't expect to make the Eastern Conference Finals at this point in the season. However, it will be none other than the Pacers and the Knicks in a good old-fashioned rivalry that a lot of people, including me, weren't around for when it was booming. Now, before I get too deep in the video, I just want to tell everybody, make sure you leave a like on the video, because I know you're going to enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because if you like this video, you're going to like my other videos as well. And also, make sure you get through this video, but make sure you check out my last video talking about my prediction for the Western Conference Finals. But that's all I have, and let's get right back into the video. Now, this isn't going to be the battles between Reggie Miller and Patrick Ewing that we saw in the 1990s between those old school Pacers, those old school Knicks teams. However, I think we are still in for a dog fight this series. I mean, when you look at the Pacers were a team who started off the season very underwhelming. You had Tyrese Halliburton, who came to the season with an injury, and with him having an injury and him being a big part of that Indiana offense, he struggled. And he struggled a lot up until, I want to say, the All-Star break in the season. Then that's when we seen the Pacers catch fire. They could not have caught fire at a better time. And this fire has led them into the playoffs to where they have looked like, in my opinion, the best team throughout the entire playoffs. You go through the first round where they handle the Milwaukee Bucks, get them out of there in 5, and Tyrese Halliburton is looking like one of the best players in the entire NBA. Then you have round 2 where they play #1 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers, a series that I had the Cleveland Cavaliers winning. Then the Cleveland Cavaliers get hit with a nasty injury bug. You have like 3 of your 4 top players go out. Donovan Mitchell's out there trying to do his best, but the Pacers just played better. They fought. They were resilient. They looked good the entire series. Tyrese Halliburton was elite. He was taking over games and being aggressive, something that I am not used to seeing from a Tyrese Halliburton. And I have to admit, I didn't expect this from Tyrese Halliburton. Came out there, he was shooting shots, shooting logo threes, fadeaway mid-ranges. He was over there passing, controlling the offense, controlling the tempo. And then he would come down on defense, as we saw in like game 2, I want to say, where he's locking down on defense against a Donovan Mitchell. I mean, we really don't see that with a lead guard, especially a lead guard who has as much offensive responsibility as a Tyrese Halliburton, but he did it. And then they close the series out. They get the Cleveland Cavaliers out of there, even when the Cleveland Cavaliers were quote-unquote full strength. And they're able to go to the conference finals. Then you have the New York Knicks on the other side. The New York Knicks, they have had a dogfight, and they have arguably had the hardest playoff run up until this point. They had to beat a tough Pistons team that was also very young and hungry in the first round. There were some controversial calls in that series. However, end of the day, they took care of business. They make it to the second round against the Celtics. They play the Celtics, and in the first 2 games, it's not looking good. They were down by 20 points in both games, and they would come back to win both of them. Boston won the 3rd game, but then in game 4, they were up, and we all know what happened. Jason Tatum gets some very unfortunate injury. Get well soon, Jason. And the Knicks end up winning that game. They lose the next game, but they take care of game 6 back at the crib where they win by I think 40 plus. I don't know. They take care of business, and they get on out of there, and now they're preparing to face Indiana on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And that brings us to where we are, where we have the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks in the conference finals. Now, I don't know about y'all, but in January, let's just go back to January. If I were to ask y'all who was going to be in the conference finals for the East, would you have said that it would have been the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers? Not the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks. I know I wouldn't have said that. I didn't expect the New York Knicks or the Indiana Pacers to make it this far, and especially after the path that the Knicks have had thus far. Didn't expect them to make it this far, and that is just a huge testament to how great the Knicks have been, how great Tom Thibodeau has been, and how great the supporting cast around Jalen Brunson has been as well. Now, it's obvious who the 2 stars of these teams are. You have a Jalen Brunson on New York Knicks, who has arguably been one of the best players in the NBA and is the clutch player of the year. Then you have Tyrese Halliburton, who has arguably been the best player throughout these entire playoffs going up against each other. You have a Tyrese Halliburton who started off the season struggling due to like some injury problems, in my opinion. But once he got healthy, he came back. He looks like the Tyrese Halliburton that we saw today. Despite all the overrated chants, a bunch of people down him, he went out and proved people wrong time and time again, and they're playing with a chip on his shoulder. Going to this conference finals, he is looking very confident, very poised, being the system of that Indiana offense. An offense that's very fast-paced, gets something down the floor, has a lot of movement on offense, and is just very predicated on getting the ball in the basket in a very efficient way. Then you have the New York Knicks, where you have a Jalen Brunson, who has been not the best player, one of the best players throughout the entire NBA, with just how well he is able to control the pace in the half-court set of the offense. He's able to manipulate defenses, draw fouls, make very timely shots, set teammates up, just do a lot for the New York Knicks on the offensive end of the floor and on defense. He played some very stout defense on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown those first couple of games. But he has just looked been very impactful for the Knicks throughout this entire season. And it showed throughout these playoffs as he was very big in them beating Detroit Pistons. We remember the big old crossover he gets on Asar Thompson and shoots the three just to go ahead and get the Pistons out of there. And we know how crucial he was in that series versus the Celtics, as he had some very key plays down the stretch just for the Knicks to close them out. That brings us to now where you see a Jalen Brunson, one of the best players in the NBA, who I'm sure, despite his size, has been able to figure out every defense and every look that has been thrown towards him, versus Tyrese Halliburton, who is a supercomputer out there on the court. And when breaking down this series, you are kind of getting a clash of styles between the two teams. You have the New York Knicks, who are a team that is focused on physicality and a stifling half-court defense. I mean, you feature a team with Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson. Yes, Karl-Anthony Towns has been good on defense this season. Mitchell Robinson and a bunch of other pieces. It's very easy to see how they are able to be one of the best defenses in the entire NBA and in the entire postseason. They get players uncomfortable, they get physical with them, they knock them off their spots, and they lock them down on offense. But then you have a Indiana Pacers team that seems not to get right on offense, seems to get wherever they want and get whatever they want on offense, and has been one of the hottest teams from beyond the arc throughout the entire NBA. So you have these two contrasting styles, a team that's so great offensively, a team that's so great defensively, going up against each other and matching up in the conference finals. And it makes you wonder, how will this play out? Now, I don't know how it's going to play out. However, with how great the Pacers have been shooting, I feel like they have been shooting really crazy and really hot throughout this postseason. And I think that will continue throughout this series with the Knicks. But I think the Knicks will be able to counter. Tom Thibodeau, defense is his thing. He can definitely find some way to get his guys to go out there and be able to defend the Indiana Pacers. However, with how aggressive Tyrese Halliburton has been, it's going to be very interesting to see how Tom Thibodeau is able to limit Tyrese Halliburton and also make sure that offense doesn't be the well-oiled machine that it has been all season long. You know, the defense is very great, as we know. They're very physical. But Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, they've seen physicality. They've looked teams in their face and being physical with them and said, hey, what you gonna do about it? And they have matched up against them very well. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how these clash of styles match up against each other. And then you have the pace. The Pacers, they're a team, they're fast. They like to get out there. They like to run. You have lob threats. You have people like Ben McTurn. You have people like Obi Toppin. You have all these different players on the court. Then you have a New York Knicks team that's very slow. They like to take their time in the half-court set. You know, Jalen Brunson's going to get out there, do his post-up. He's going to look to find, see what people are open. He's going to do all the different things in the half-court offense that just slow the game down. How can Indiana adjust to this slowed down pace? And if the pace does seem to heat up, I think the Knicks have the pieces to keep up with these guys, because you have a Mikal Bridges and you have an OG Anunoby. Now, I don't think the Knicks can match the Indiana Pacers' offensive efficiency with just how great they've been offensively, but I think they can definitely give Indiana a run for the money and challenge them offensively to find different ways to get the ball in the basket. Something that hasn't really happened to Indiana so far this postseason. Now, there are definitely some key matchups that I would like to point out in this series just to see how this will all work out. One of them being is how the Pacers attack Jalen Brunson and how he likes to go up how he likes to play defenses in the half-court set. Will they put Andrew Nembhard on him, who has been very good this postseason on offense and on defense, but I'm not sure if he's just be able to keep up with Jalen Brunson's shiftiness, and I don't know if he's going to be able to keep Jalen Brunson in front of him. And the same with Tyrese Halliburton. He might just, Jalen Brunson is very short, he's very stocky, he's very strong. I don't think he can keep up with Jalen Brunson's physicality. Now, what could be a difference is a coaching wise. Tom Thibodeau is a coach who's very infamous for certain decisions he will make throughout the game, whether it be benching players, playing certain players, keeping players out there on the floor who might not deserve to be out there, playing players for too long. Just these different type of things where you have a Rick Carlisle who has won the NBA title before. He's been to the playoffs multiple times. He was here last year in the Eastern Conference Finals against a very tough Celtics team where they pushed the Celtics to, was it 7? I believe 7 games. He's been here before. And he's going to be with a team that's not as good as the Celtics with the same roster. With all of that being said, who am I going to take in the Eastern Conference Finals? This is one I'm going back and forth on, and I honestly don't know who to take. But I'm going to take the Indiana Pacers. This is more of a gut pick. The Pacers have been the hottest team, the best team in the playoffs throughout the entire NBA playoffs. And I expect them to continue. I expect Tyrese Halliburton to continue to be the star that he has been throughout the entire postseason and continue to prove people wrong now that it seems like he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. I think Rick Carlisle outcoaches Tom Thibodeau. And even though I think the Knicks put up a fight, I think the Pacers get them out of here in like 6 games. However, these are just my opinions. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments about this series. Let me know how you feel about the path that the teams have taken to get here. Let me know who you think is going to win. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. But that's all I have for now. Until next time, peace.